watching Cybernet with me, Lucy Longhurst. Today we go on another adventure with Link, become a spy in the 1960s, take a trip to the theatre, and join the crew of a famous old aircraft. It's ready to explode. It's Cybernet. Welcome to another incredible show. We begin by travelling to a Tokyo of the future with Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast, a contender for the coolest game of the year. One thing is for certain, Jet Set Radio provides relentless arcade action, and though the underlying gameplay is hardly revolutionary, the presentation is second to none. At this year's E3 show in Los Angeles, we caught up with the man from Sega to quiz him about the game and the amazing graphics that the title boasts.
The team in Japan actually call it the manga dimension. The reason they do it is when you look at it, it looks like it should be one of the sort of Japanese manga cartoons. In reality, it's actually a totally 3D world. It's not 2D. And it's something we're very proud of. It's a very unique concept. And we haven't seen anybody else able to do that graphical feature.
The story sees you take control of various members of the GGs, a streetwise gang standing up against their corrupt government. The levels require you to mark your territory with colourful designs while avoiding the attentions of your enemies. And in this town, it seems like everybody's out to get you.
What happens as the game goes through, though, is there's rival gangs, and there's, you know, the oppressive police force who are sort of very military in their future city. So as soon as you start, you know, saying who you are and where you are, the military come in, the other gangs come in, and you've got to skate and evade. There's no actual conflict in it other than that is imposed upon you.
The frantic pace generated as your enemies close in makes for a hugely entertaining game. The wonderful graphics add to rather than detract from the action, and the soundtrack is awesome. Jet Set Radio may be a little too easy, but it's a small complaint, as it's one of the best Dreamcast titles to date. Welcome to the strange and wonderful world of Edmund Blackadder, a place populated by the lowest forms of life ever seen in British history. It's also where the lowest form of wit, sarcasm, is worshipped like a king.
Hello, the Savoy Grill. Oh, it's you. Yes? Yes, I'll be over in 40 minutes.
Who was it then, sir?
Strangely enough, Ulrich, it was Pope Gregory the Ninth, inviting me for drinks aboard his steam yacht, the Saucy Sue, currently wintering in Montego Bay with the England cricket team and the Balinese goddess of plenty.
Really?
No, not really.
After starring in the phenomenally successful TV series, our Edmund now has his very own multimedia title called The Blackadders, featuring clips, games and characters from each of the Adder dynasties. There are 4 different time periods to explore where you can check out the history of time according to Mr. Blackadder and friends. You can leaf through Dr. Johnson's famous dictionary or pay a visit to Mrs. Miggin's pie shop where you'll uncover legendary recipes like her turnip surprise or her battered plums. There's a daft little game in each time zone to help keep you amused, which range from the banal to the downright annoying. The best feature is the movie clips. So unfortunately, unless you're a huge fan, this CD-ROM will only disappoint you.
Now, distinguishing features. None.
Well, I've got this big growth in the middle of my face.
That's your nose, Maurice.
Gentlemen, start your engines. This is F1 Championship Season 2000 on PlayStation 2, the major contender for best F1 title ever. But what a disappointment it is. Uninspiring graphics aren't saved by the dynamic camera angles. In fact, the best feature is the game's sound. Listen to this V12 engine in action. One useful addition, however, is the instant replay function, where you can revisit your favourite manoeuvres. Pit Pit-lane action gives you a wide variety of tactics and strategies to employ in the race, but this can't hide the game's two main problems. The car's arcade-style handling allows you to take corners without braking, and the opposition's AI is terrible, with crashes and pile-ups happening all over the track. Overall, F1 Championship is a surprisingly enjoyable arcade racer, but it just has too many flaws to come highly recommended. Memories of Sydney's 2000 Olympics may be fading fast, but you can still wear your shorts and partake in some athletic activity in the comfort of your own home. ESPN International Track and Field on PlayStation 2 contains all the excitement of an athletic event. With over a dozen authentic contests along with incredibly lifelike graphics, ESPN International Track and Field is without a doubt one of the best-looking sports titles we've seen. The game utilises over 700 moves motion captured from such luminaries as 100-metre world champion Maurice Green and two-time Olympic bronze medalist Atto Boldon. Players are able to compete in such sports as the 100-metre dash, weightlifting and javelin. The controls are fast and responsive, and some sports, such as the rhythmic gymnastic events, can even be played using the PlayStation's dance mat. ESPN International Track and Field stands head and shoulders above the competition. Utilising the power of the new console, this game looks, sounds and plays fantastically. We put it in first place. It's countdown time again. Here's our top 10 PlayStation chart. Starting us off at 10, the muddy racer Colin McRae Rally 2. Worms Armageddon is holding on in there at 9. At 8, one for little empire builders everywhere, Theme Park World. Belt up, Toka World Touring Cars is at 7. Tomorrow Never Dies is at 6, thanks to some useful weapons. Raising the roof at 5, it's Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. At 4, punching his way to the top, it's Prince Nassim Boxing. Riding high in the charts, Spider-Man swings into 3rd place. In 2nd, the high-flying Tony Hawk Skateboarding 2. But FIFA 2001 is our brilliant number 1. The Legend of Zelda continues now as Link returns to follow up his groundbreaking N64 adventure. This time he has to solve the riddle of Majora's Mask. The story finds our hero in the mysterious world of Termina, where a fiend has used his strange powers to turn you into a Deku shrub. Help is at hand, though, from the creepy owner of the Happy Mask shop, who charges you with the task of retrieving the mask which your assailant stole. Unfortunately, the evil power of Majora's Mask will cause the moon to collide with Termina in just 3 days. In real time, this leaves you with little more than an hour to complete your quest. Impossible? Not with the Ocarina of Time. Your progress is saved by time traveling back to day 1. Events that passed before your trip through time are reset, but any important items you uncovered are retained, allowing you to explore previously inaccessible areas. The most valuable of these items are the various masks you come across. Some are even capable of altering your form, giving you brand new abilities and powers. The brain-teasing dungeons and clever sub-quests return and are given a new dimension by the importance that time plays in the game. It's not just what you do, but when you do it. Majora's Mask could have been a basic sequel, but it's an extraordinary game in its own right. There's no disguising the fact that it's simply a masterpiece. Get your pens ready, it's competition time. Our prize this week is a PlayStation and a copy of the fantastic Ducati World to play on it. So get revved up for an exciting opportunity to race the entire range of these beautiful Italian motorbikes from past and present. All you have to do to win is call our number and answer this question. What do they race in the Formula One World Championship? Is it A, cars, B, boats, or C, horses? If you think you know, call 09009 113333. Please dial carefully and don't forget to ask permission from the person who pays the telephone bill first. We'll put up the question and number again at the end of today's show, so get dialing and good luck. Coming up, we find out what's new at the theatre, help Action Man save the world, and take a trip into the clouds.
I may be a woman, but that doesn't mean I can't take care of myself.
I'm sure you can. This is the formidable agent Kate Archer, star of the 1960s themed adventure No One Lives Forever. This new first-person shooter for the PC is fantastic and is one of the most enjoyable games we've played this year. Assuming the role of Agent Archer, an operative for a British intelligence agency called Unity, you must thwart evil and crime in some perilous missions. There are all sorts of objectives you have to complete, such as having to meet a contact in a glitzy German nightclub and making sure you get photographs of important documents with your secret spy glasses. Having so many tasks means you never get bored with the gameplay. Mastering your knockout gas perfume and protecting a scientist with only some exploding lipstick are more examples of the fun you can have with this title. There are even some crazy villains trying to stop you. Shame about the singing, though. Ouch! The game's graphics are excellent and the locations are well designed. The artificial intelligence of the many enemies you'll meet is very good. You'll need all your wits and aiming skills to get safely through the levels. If you do manage to disable a minion, then you'll also be impressed by the animation. Maybe a little overdramatic. The game's sense of humour is great. Even pinching some fellow's parachute will lead to a humorous ending.
Please be full of hay! Please be full of hay!
Poor man. Using weapons and gadgets will advance you through the game, but this title is about more than just blasting your way to safety. You can approach your assignments however you please. If you're after all-out action or want to stealthily sneak around, the choice is yours. We definitely recommend No One Lives Forever, as it's a simply brilliant game. Isn't that right, Kate?
I'm having fun.
In 1901, Italian Guglielmo Marconi sent the world's first wireless message across the Atlantic. Within 10 years and after numerous designs, the radio was born, and we've been listening to it ever since. And one place it's thriving is on the net. We all love music, but stations don't always play what you want to hear. If that's the case, you need this incredible site, MIT. MIT lists almost every radio station in the world, and even better than that, you can listen into them. Tune in to America. To Israel. To Japan.
花嫁の身長やスリーサイズなど書いてあるので、それを当て新郎にしっかりと。
Or even Radio Nepal. Most of the stations have a summary next to them, so you can tell what they're broadcasting, from rock to religion. Let's hear what's happening in Poland. They're obviously not out of bed yet. Want to go one stage further? Then why not create your own radio station? Log on to the Radio Sonic site, choose the type of music you like, and the program creates a playlist of all your favourite bands. You can add new artists at any time or select an entirely different type of music. Maybe not. The site also hosts guest DJs and their favourite tracks. You can even keep the music pumping while you surf other sites. Yeah, radio's certainly come a long way since Marconi's day, and we've him to thank.
When Guglielmo Marconi died in 1937, radio broadcasts of all kinds ceased worldwide for a 2-minute moment of silence. For the first time since 1894, the airwaves were quiet, and it probably will be the last.
It's been 30 years since this tough guy first appeared. We've had dolls, cartoons, bedspreads, pajamas, and now Action Man's got a brand new computer game, Destruction X, on the PlayStation. This is a single-player action-adventure. You take on the role of a one-man task force and must save the world from a bunch of classic bad guys, notably the fiendish green-armed Dr. X. Scary stuff. This is basically a racer with a top-down perspective. You race around 3 different cities in various vehicles like the Silver Speeder or this, the Polar Bike. As well as racing, there are missions to complete. Yes, you're sent on vital quests like, putting out fires. Or shining a spotlight on your enemies so they can be arrested. Unfortunately, the graphics are unimpressive and certainly don't test the PlayStation's capabilities. The title is aimed at the younger player though, so the gameplay reflects that, and it won't challenge any experienced racers. Overall, whilst it can be fun to play, we think the Bendy Man should have stayed in his box. Computer graphics and special effects are everywhere. Adverts, films, art, wherever you look, there's usually a fancy piece of animation. It's no surprise then to discover that theatrical performances are now using computer wizardry. We went along to see Play to Win, a production performed at the Soho Theatre in London. The highlight of the show involved a martial arts fight scene where an actor took on 4 computer-generated characters, and we wanted to find out how it was done. We visited digital effects experts Lost in Space, a small company that had already produced some amazing graphics for movies such as Terminator 2, and they told us how they used their skills for the stage.
Play to Win's quite an interesting challenge as a theatre production. We are producing imagery projected in quite a traditional manner, but it's very game-oriented imagery that the actors can interact with.
Creating the fake game warriors was tough because of the strict deadline. They had the actors' cooperation though, and this was vital in completing the job.
We filmed them using just a normal kind of DV camera, and then we took that footage and we crushed the fields out, and we did kind of certain, computerized effects like motion trials, and we put kind of like blurs and glows on kind of weaponry that they were using, stuff like that.
The trickiest part was treating the live action to make it look like convincing games graphics, and I think we succeeded very well. Several people in the audience, people I'd invited to the first screening, said they thought it was games graphics, so I mean we've achieved the goal there at least.
The scene was used when bullied schoolboy Paul de la Cruz imagined himself inside a fighting game to let out his frustration. We asked the actor playing Paul how he managed to combat imaginary enemies.
The difficulty was that I didn't know what I was fighting against properly. I mean, I had a videotape of it, but not properly with the sound effects and things until about a few days before the show. So I had to quickly sort of adapt to it, change to it a bit. And it took me a few shows before I got used to it, basically.
The success of the play in its short run perhaps indicates that theatre productions in the future could benefit from similar effects.
Technology becomes more affordable. Certainly, theatre will be able to adapt to that just as film and TV and the music industry has.
Producing images like these is becoming slightly easier thanks to constant advancements. If theatre companies are now using computer imagery, then we could all be in for a treat that Shakespeare would never have imagined. A beautiful summer summer's day in the English countryside. Tea, scones and friendly folk. What more could you ask for? Well, how about this? Ever fancied piloting the powerful B-17 Flying Fortress? Well, strap yourselves in. We could be in for a bumpy ride. Cybernet went to a windy Duxford airfield in England to look at the forthcoming flight sim B-17 Flying Fortress, the Mighty 8th. We met up with executive producer Graham Davis and his team and had a chat about their imminent release.
It was a bomber that held 10 flyboys, all between the ages of like 16 and 20. And the unusual thing that it did was all of its missions took place in broad daylight in huge formations.
Not only can you control the direction of the aircraft, but this sim also lets you control each of the 10 men that are on board, from the pilot to the navigator and even a gunner in any of the plane's 5 turrets. Okay, so that's impressive, but what else can you do whilst flying to your target?
On the way there, you might get attacked by escort fighters who'll come and attack you. You can then jump into the guns, jump from position to position, defending your plane. You can even jump into an escort fighter if you wish and actually try and chase the Luftwaffe away. Or you can even jump into Luftwaffe planes and have a go at the B-17s. It depends what you want to do.
Graphically, the game is historically accurate, with aircraft and maps near perfect. The only flaw really is that the background draws itself as you fly. But don't worry, this is because of the hundreds of square miles the team has recreated. The bonus, though, is the sheer range of roles you can play, from giving first aid to an injured colleague or even doing basic engineering, like closing a faulty bomb bay door. Getting
a crew to work inside a B-17, unbelievably, has been insane. It's all been pretty tough, but it looks really cool.
B-17 Flying Fortress is one of the most visually spectacular flight simulators we've ever seen. With 200 missions to choose from over occupied Europe, you'll be spoilt for choice with the diversity of the gameplay. This is a must-have title, though we at Cybernet can see some big kids getting a little overexcited about it. That's all, sci-fi fans, but you can always try our competition to win a console. We'll be back with another action-packed show very soon. Until then, join Dirk the Daring from Dragon's Lair 2 as he battles some scary monsters and attempts to save the day. He must be mad, just like us. Goodbye.